So we will start the second part, okay? Together with me, besides me, there are four very important persons, okay, in their area. Three, actually. The other one is through internet. Mr. Ahmet Turkoglu is the CEO of Turkish Energy Exchange. Mr. Kostadinov, the CEO of IPEX in Bulgaria. Mr. Milos Mladenovic, the Managing Director of CPEX in Serbia. And Ms. Mariana Liakopoulou, Markets and Policy Associate from EFET. Welcome. So I invite Mr. Ahmet Turkoglu. The floor is yours, so you can... Yes? Thank you very much.
Dear esteemed guests, today I'm gonna talk about energy crisis and energy markets. First of all, this is my third time to participate in this event. This is an excellent event organized by Mr. Kostis Stambolis. I would like to thank him again and again for this continuous organization. Our title is Energy Crisis and New Electricity Market. First of all, I would like to talk about energy crisis, but today we listened a lot of detailed analysis about this subject, so I will not keep you long about energy crisis, but shortly what happened, we know, I think. In winter, we had problem of drought. It was the key, I think, for the energy crisis. In Texas, we saw some problems. Then lack of water caused some problems together with high temperatures. And also, there is another factor. Maybe it was a good factor. Vaccination widely applied all over the world. So we thought that COVID-19 ended economically and the demand increased rapidly. Especially Asian markets asked more LNG, and because of low renewable performance, we started to use our gas more than usual. Even with the high price fear, we start to use our storages as well. This caused to high carbon prices together with high coal prices. Actually, during the crisis, we relearned the word unprecedented. Unprecedented virus caused an unprecedented energy crisis. I mentioned the starting point as Texas. Here you see that a person, Scott, paid $16,752 for a bill. So all over the world, we look at the Texas case, what's happening around there. But later in United Kingdom, Ofgem, on their webpage, released an information how to tackle with crisis. Because of high prices, there were some suppliers and traders went in bankruptcy. So the title was, what happens if your energy supplier goes bust? This is very interesting. Why this happened? Because we can see at the right-hand side as prices. Wholesale gas prices in Europe increased more than 4 times, and electricity prices increased more than 2 times. But we see here governments manage the situation well for vulnerable consumers and customers, and the increase for retail gas and electricity is less than wholesale prices. So there is really huge efforts by the governments to subsidize this issue, but nobody knows how can it be sustainable. It's not possible to continue like this. After winter, we will see what will happen. Actually, these high prices also questioned on the basis of energy exchanges. I checked the founder of Texas Energy Exchange and Energy Market, the Professor William Hogan. William Hogan is a professor at Harvard Kennedy School, and also he is the architect of state energy market system. The prices in Texas was incredible, but people asked to him about his comment. His comment is very clear. It's not convenient, it's not nice, but it's necessary. Electricity market had worked as it is designed. So there may be some fluctuation on prices, but this is market. Actually, energy markets liberalization idea comes from 1978 from Fred Schwab. And in 1980s, it was applied in Chile. So everybody was happy with this start, and all over the world, energy markets are welcomed widely, and we have energy markets in Europe, United States, everywhere. They are well functioning. But after these price hikes, many people are questioning energy markets, and especially energy exchanges. I'm also a board member of Association of European Energy Exchanges. Now I don't talk on behalf of Europex, but I talk on behalf of my company, Energy Exchange Istanbul. You see, when the prices hiked, we see high volatility. With high volatility also we see high cold spark in the market. It is same for gas at the right-hand side. We see volatility, higher gas sparks in favor of gas-fired power plants. But what happened after these fluctuations, we can see at the left-hand side. Actually, black points are representing the cost of producing electricity from gas. Before pandemic, even after pandemic, the prices were the least one during 2020 because of decreasing demand. Prices went down. But after vaccination, after pandemic, let's say, we see a high price and with fluctuations. The cost of electricity from gas is average was around 100 euro per megawatt hours this year. But if you look at the fluctuations, the pink line, we see from 10 euros to 180 euros. Now, nowadays, it's more than it. This caused unpredictable volatility. But still, we can manage. The situation criticized by Acer, for example, they have a suggestion to solve the problem, but I don't think that this will be a solution. I think you know merit order. If you have 100 gigawatt demand here, you see, you collect all the power plants according to their abilities and prices, and if it is 100 gigawatt, you collect all of them and you pay the highest price for everybody. We call it marginal remuneration. It is the case for most of the energy exchanges all over the world, for our energy exchange also. Acer's idea is to change this remuneration as an average remuneration. Let's say to make it 30 euro in average, so you will not pay highest price for lowest cost. It seems to be difficult, but this is an idea after these price hikes. Climate change also is affecting our markets severely. It has profound effect on prices, especially the peak points. Now we have rapid increases in the peak load both for hot and cold seasons. It requires better optimization for energy markets. The energy mix in the system also is changing. In the past, we were talking about gasoline for cars, trucks, and planes, but today we talk about electric cars. Everything is changing, combining electricity from conventional sources are changing for renewable sources, although it's very difficult to manage. But with the digitalization effect, I think we will manage it well in favor of markets. Let's have an example about this situation. In the past, conventional generation like coal and gas, we see the cost was in favor of investment. 1/4 of the cost was coming from OPEX. Today, 1/4 of cost coming from OPEX. So CAPEX and OPEX change the place with new technologies. We see renewables having great impact on the energy mix. In terms of CAPEX and OPEX also. You pay to coal, you pay to gas, but with renewables, after amortization, you don't pay for any input. This will change everything. This will help for decarbonization, but with better management. Maybe subsidies will change because sometimes subsidies also are distorting our markets. Today we also listen IEA about their projections. I got it for our future. Net zero emissions scenario seems to be brilliant for everybody, but in fact, it is very, very difficult to manage for everybody. At the right-hand side, we see that we need flexibility 4 times higher than usual. It means we should innovate, improve everything in energy sector. And I believe that the Paris Agreement will take much more time than the targets because of this energy mix. We can invest and we can do this scenario under the condition that we have storage. We have to innovate for storage. It should be affordable for all renewable source of energy. But the storage situation is not clear, then the crisis like today we live in affects the decision of everybody. Then when we try to leave coal-fired plants, we return. When we try to leave gas-fired power plants, we return. Gas-fired power plants are very crucial to balance renewable sources. Nuclear and coal power plants are very crucial for base load. To change this, we should innovate on the basis of storage. Otherwise, it will be very difficult, although there is a strong political will to change this. Energy markets also should work very hard. We have certain principles to work. Transparency and reliability are the key for energy exchanges. Liquidity is a must. We should treat everybody equally to develop and cooperate. And digitalization, I think, will help us to be more simple. Let's have a look at quantities, what we have at energy exchanges, and also I would like to little bit talk about Energy Exchange Istanbul figures. Left upper hand side, we see they had market prices in 2020. You see Energy Exchange Istanbul prices around the mean. It is 35 euro. When we go to down this year, 2021, our prices is at the lowest level as 42.9. But if we look at the average is around 80 euros per megawatt hour. So it is more than double, as I said at the beginning. Today, when we look at the prices, most of the European day-ahead prices are higher than 200 euros. In terms of volumes, Energy Exchange Istanbul is clearing 181 terawatt hours per year, let's say last year, and we are the fourth largest energy exchange in Europe. This year, when we look at the quantity in terms of volumes, we are the third largest energy exchange in Europe as 171 euros per terawatt hours in clearing. We can speculate these figures, terawatt hours, in terms of financial volumes. Last year, we had 6.35 billion euros from our spot day-ahead market. This year, it is more than it. For the first 10 months, 7.24 billions. But as you can see here, our place is changed from third to sixth because of high prices in Europe. Our prices also increased from 35 to 42, but the European prices doubled, more than double. So our rank changed according to total financial volume. Last thing I would like to mention about our markets. We are operating spot markets for both power and gas. This year we started to operate gas and power futures together with geo markets. Our geo market is the first one in its category which is using blockchain as a registry mechanism. We also help for renewable support mechanism. We collect from the market and pay to participants, generators. We settle ancillary service market together with all markets. And also we bill for all transactions together with eligible customer transactions. That's all I want to mention. The last key message I would like to say, energy markets are very crucial and vital for reliable, sustainable, and transparent energy markets. So to crystallize this well-functioning mechanism may be a problem for the future for all of us. We see some countries in Europe criticizing about the functioning of energy exchanges, but it's not their responsibility or guilt to see high prices. It is totally different source. The problems are coming from the sources I mentioned, so energy exchanges are for everybody. Thank you very much for your patience.
Thank you, Mr. Turkoglu. Very interesting, your presentation. We saw your point of view. I mean, what about the crisis, energy crisis, a global energy crisis. Then about your view of the global energy development. And of course, some very interesting information about the Turkish market. It's very big, and the last years developed a lot. So next, I would like to invite Mr. Konstantinov. He's the CEO of the Bulgarian Energy Exchange, IBEX. Thank you, Mr. Konstantinov.
Thank you very much, Andreas. Good evening to everybody. First, let me thank Mr. Stambolis for the kind invitation to be here physically with you, and thanks a lot to all of you who are with us currently, because obviously we are a little bit late. Let me present my slides. Hope that they will be good for starting some discussion, a quick discussion after that. IBEX is the power exchange of Bulgaria. It was established during 2014, and currently we are a full member of all of these international organizations, according to which all of us are trying to developing, or as Ahmed said, changing the electricity market model. Seeing this slide, I'd like to congratulate Ahmed because he's one of the newest elected board members of Europex by the General Assembly. These are the main events for IBEX. As I said, the company itself was created 2014, but the most important day is during January 2016 when we met, when we done the first session of the day-ahead market. After that, we make the first session of the intraday market during April 2018. On the next year, we introduced a Bulgarian power future together with the European Energy Exchange, and as we mentioned in the next couple of slides, we managed to complete the single day-ahead coupling projects with Greece and Romania. We are operating these market segments. The first and most important is the day-ahead. After that is the intraday. These are the spot market segments with physical deliveries. Also, we are operating a third platform together with Trayport as a service provider for longer-term contracts, also with physical delivery. As I mentioned, in cooperation with EEX, we have introduced Bulgarian power futures. This is deals, only financial deals without physical delivery, on the exchange in Leipzig almost 3 years ago. Now I'd like to focus your and our attention on the market coupling projects. The first one is the day-ahead couplings. Currently, the Bulgarian market zone is working in coupled mode with the Greek one since the month of May this year, and with the Romanian market zone since the end of October this year. We can see now some information and comparison of the quantities and the prices of each market zones. I'm showing you this because in Bulgaria we were blamed for the highest and extremely high levels of prices because when we introduced the coupling with Greece in May this year. Unfortunately, it was followed by the extremely high levels of the electricity price, but of course not only in Bulgaria. This was and is in the whole Europe. Thanks God, everybody, I think, and I believe in Bulgaria realized and understood that the market coupling projects themselves do not define and do not determine the energy prices. The market couplings just make the trading much more easier and much more automated for the producers and for the end consumers and even for the traders. On the next slide, we can see the commercial flows between the market zones. On the first graph, we can see the flows between Bulgaria and Greece, and above it we can see between Bulgaria and Romania. But I'd like to stress here that after the coupling, we are seeing much netted volumes. In other words, the cross-border transmission capacities are used much more efficiently, and actually this is one of the main goals of the market coupling projects. In the light of this, I'd like to focus your attention of the. We have actually two issues connected with the market couplings and the market model of Europe. The first one is the integration of West Balkan 6 countries, plus maybe Turkey. You can see that together with Romania and Greece, the European single day-ahead market is completed. But unfortunately, we have here one gray spot, actually the states from the West Balkan 6 countries. We have projects with all of them running, but definitely some major challenges have to be solved. I mean the CACM implementation of all of these non-European member countries. And probably altogether we have to do this issue project by project and state by state. Actually, only Serbia, I think Miloš will speak after me, is the country from this group of West Balkan 6 countries with working power exchange currently. The second issue that I'd like to show you is the levels of cross-border transmission capacities. You know that the market coupling projects are nothing if we do not have sufficient levels of cross-border transmission capacities. And even today, when I saw the price map published by our Greek friends from Energy Life, I saw very, very big differences between the prices, the average prices for November between Hungary and Slovakia and between Hungary and Austria. These two borders, there is a lack of cross-border transmission capacities there, and these two borders are dividing Europe to two parts with extremely different prices. And obviously, nowadays, the east-south part of the Europe is performing much more higher price levels than the western part. So this is one important issue according to which all of us have to be in position to contribute and to work for it. For the second spot market segment, intraday markets, the market coupling there is also very interesting. We managed to complete the second X-bit wave, according to which we have coupling on the Bulgarian-Romanian border. Now we are waiting for our colleagues from HENEX, and I believe that we'll be able to complete the project between Bulgaria and Greece, and the coupling on intraday level will be completed in the beginning of the next year. But interesting in these projects is the liquidity. This is very interesting, and for the traders also, of course, for the consumers and the producers, but I think mainly for the traders, because in Bulgaria we noticed a couple of times increasement of the liquidity of the intraday border. Of course, similar to the day-ahead markets, the liquidity is depending on the available cross-border transmission capacities that are available for trading. Well, once again, I'd like to stress about the next steps that are in front of us during the new year. First, in Bulgaria, together with our service provider, Norpool, for the day-ahead and intraday platforms, we will introduce block products. After that, on the intraday market, we will introduce 15-minute settlement period together with our TSO. And on the Bulgarian-Romanian border, the participants will be allowed to trade on the 15 minutes settlement periods. As I mentioned, during the next year, we are expecting to complete the local implementation project 14, according to which the market coupling on intraday between Bulgaria and Greece should be completed. A couple of years in the future, we are planning to introduce intraday auctions as well, and 15 minutes settlement periods for day-ahead trading. So thank you very much for your patience and kind attention. I'm ready for questions and discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Konstantin. You know, very interesting things about the Bulgarian market. At least myself, I know very well the Bulgarian market. We have a very good trading, and we're doing the trading all the last years. I know for sure because I have some Bulgarian friends, many Bulgarian friends, that they blame us. But as soon as we join the market coupling, suddenly the Bulgarian prices skyrocket. I don't know if it's true or let's see. Now I'm going to invite Ms. Mariana Liakopoulou, Markets and Policy Associate from EFET.
Okay, so thanks, Andreas. And let me first of all thank Mr. Stambolis, thank INF for inviting the European Federation of Energy Traders to this significant and topical conference. So for those of you who may not be familiar with us, we represent about 130 energy companies from across all corners of Europe, basically advocating for well-functioning and competitive energy markets at European and national level. And as well as making the case for markets, we also work towards making markets work better through our standard contracts, our PPAs, and data exchange standards. And of course, at the same time, we also maintain a strong regional focus on the power and gas markets of Central and Eastern and Southeast Europe through our dedicated task force, along with a particular focus on the Greek energy market through our dedicated working group Greece. So let me begin by briefly commenting on the title of our session today. The recent price rises have certainly caused significant problems for customers in many parts of Europe, but we should ask whether they're driven by a design issue or by fundamentals, and I'll start there in a moment. We should then consider how to respond to those rises in a way which doesn't interfere with the market. And we should then if we are to talk about a new electricity market, we really need to ensure that there is both a problem with our existing market design and that there is also a better alternative that we can afford to go for, that market participants can afford to go for in times of crisis. So let's start by approaching this in an energy system integration context, and I will be brief because I know that you're all very tired and we're already running late. The power price surge over the past month or two is basically the result of the European wholesale power market's appropriate reaction to changing fundamentals, indicating scarcity in the market. We've got a demand-side recovery from the pandemic, which has coincided with tight supply in electricity production, owing to poor conditions in renewable electricity production as of early fall, and low hydro reservoir capacity. And at the same time, We've also witnessed tight supply in commodities used for electricity production. We've got low storage levels, strong global demand for LNG, reduced Russian flows, or else the market sentiment around them, which have put upward pressure on wholesale gas prices. Higher gas demand in the power sector and thus higher prices is of course the result of the intermittency of renewable energy production. So there is this circular effect that we must consider here. And although gas pricing and gas market design is not the topic of our session here tonight, I can't help but mentioning the value of hub-based competition as opposed to oil-indexed LTCs in fostering inter-member state price convergence over the past decade or so, as recently highlighted in ACER's preliminary assessment on high energy prices. And of course, higher demand for fossil generation by power or heat plants covered under the EU ETS boosts demand for EUAs, for emission allowances, thus leading to a surge in carbon prices. So electricity prices are rising, and households and certain businesses cannot cope with it, which essentially begs the question of what's the right reaction? Well, disproportionately affected industrial and domestic customers need to be protected by national governments and NRAs without distorting price signals for all. Of key importance here is to balance short-term intervention with minimization of long-term costs to the operation of the EU internal energy market. So markets are indeed compatible with consumer protection, and the Commission's toolbox on high energy prices are a good start showing us that, outlining measures such as temporary deferrals of bill payments, etc. This is because well-informed consumers are able to actually react whenever directly exposed to high prices and volatility. However, we have also witnessed some examples of national price interventions changing the rules of the game by affecting wholesale price formations, like the clawback measures on low carbon generation enacted in Spain or Romania, for example, to which EFET recently reacted. Cost increases certainly hurt customers, but their drivers, as I already said, are demand and supply. They're not market design. Continued integration of our EU internal energy market is the way forward. Our market is delivering. It reacts to fundamentals, and it's already helping manage volatility from short-term price changes. Consumers, accounting for an appreciable part of the total market, are not directly exposed in reality to price volatility of the spot market, because we've got certain categories of electricity buyers, notably industrial, large commercial, public consumers, and retail supply companies, to give you some examples, which have the chance to buy power forward at fixed prices or use other types of contracts, such as futures and options, to hedge their exposure to volatile wholesale spot prices. And actually, hedging techniques allow certain retail suppliers to offer fixed price contracts to households, or else, in simpler words, just change prices less often. However, national responses to the affordability challenge that modify market fundamentals and are not proportionate and tailored to those consumer categories directly exposed to volatility threaten the accuracy of and the case for hedging. This comes with risks of weakening EU energy market integration in a time when it's needed the most, due to our decarbonization pledges for 2030 and 2050. So price signals sent by energy and carbon markets need to deliver incentives to innovate, invest, become more energy efficient, and switch away from carbon-intensive fuels. Because if allowed to do so, the probability that Europe will find a least cost decarbonization pathway actually increases. However, national price interventions that risk increasing wholesale prices in the short term may damage investment climate in the medium term, thus making any investment in renewables, in new flexibilities, more expensive or potentially too risky. And this, of course, undermines the ability of individual countries, of individual member states, to attain their decarbonization targets in a cost-efficient manner. So in this sense, a move back to national markets would be a backward step at this stage. At the same time, there is lack of clarity on a plan B, on what's the alternative here, as market design changes can take years, jeopardize new green investment, new investment in cleaner energies, and spur regulatory uncertainty, creating costs for the entire system. So as our EU wholesale market, based on marginal pricing, is delivering and reacting to global drivers, including demand, committing to improving the internal energy market is actually the way forward, via, for example, improving forward markets, or else the ability of market participants to protect consumers from short-term volatility via hedging. So to wrap up, distortive interventions for well-intentioned reasons will raise costs in the long run. There are ways to protect the vulnerable, and national governments and regulators must act based on EU-level guidance, again, the Commission's communication on high energy prices, without hindering free formation of prices. Building on competitive EU-wide markets in energy commodities and related contracts, the liberalization story of which dates back to over 20 years now, is the way forward. And we as EFED will keep working to make these markets work, as these markets are best placed to provide solutions for each aspect of the so-called energy trilemma. And that is no other than affordability, energy security, and decarbonization. So thank you very much, and happy to take any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Iacopoulou. Very useful, very information, and for me it was very helpful to see the EFET point of view. I follow EFET since 2005. I'm using, and we are using the standard contracts of EFET in electricity, in gas, and PPA. So always I'm trying to follow and to read and studies of the EFET regarding the market. Thank you very much. We're going to invite Mr. Milos Mladenovic. Hello, Mr. Mladenovic. He's the Managing Director of the SIPEX in Serbia. Mr. Mladenovic, please.
Hello. I hope that you can hear me. First of all, thank you for your invitation, of course, and to Kostis as usual. And also, unfortunately, I'm not physically present, but due to very busy schedule. But I hope that next time I will be able to come to Greece and to join you, of course, on this very, very fruitful event. I will not use the slides because it is really late, so I will do my best to be, how you say, very sharp and to provide you with maybe some news from the CEPEX and from the region, and maybe to give you our view on this current hype regarding the prices. First of all, just to inform you that it is interesting that yesterday it was held Energy Community Ministerial Council in Belgrade, and it is fresh news and very important news that it is adopted green energy package for our region, for WB6 countries, and also it is adopted a roadmap for the decarbonization. Of course, it should be additionally discussed and negotiated, but I think this is really a huge step towards the decarbonization of our region. Also, you know that today price on SEPEX was 260 euros, similar to Greek price. So we are, still witnessing this new normal, new reality on the energy prices. And of course, I don't want to repeat, everything was already said about the reasons and so on. But just to mention my view on this, that in fact, I think that we all, have to, especially on the PayX side, as some kind of market facilitators, we have to do our best, of course, to follow this new reality, and also to maybe to go into some kind of paradigm shifts, and to try to stick much close to the real time, and to try to react on this new reality in the electricity market. So concerning the market design, I was the member 5 years ago, before my PayX life. I was the member of the NCE board in the time that we have prepared the new market design, and in that time everything was clear. So in that time that we had really good view on this decarbonization, about the future market design and so on. But now, after 5 or 6 years, we are all a little bit surprised, and I think that now we have to put much more efforts also to introduce some new markets, especially flexibility markets should be, I think, as soon as possible to be introduced on all regional power exchanges, in order also to follow this request for the increased level of the renewables. Also, it is important to say that in Serbia, it is a few days ago, it was also adopted new bylaws related to the market-based premium feed-in scheme. So the new auctions will be organized for the support to the renewable capacities, and of course, power exchange will have a very important role in this new setup, because the SEPEX price will be used as a reference price for this new contract for differences supportive scheme, with the EPS as a counterparty, as a financial counterparty for these new products. Also, just to continue this constant discussion regarding the market coupling, just to mention, of course, that SEPEX is established in 2015 and started with operation in 2016, together with IBEX and the CROPEX almost at the same day. And in fact, we are still, unfortunately, the only one power exchange in W6 region. And on some way, it was really helpful that the strategic partnership with EPEX Spot and with European Commodity Clearing. So we have harmonized, and our clearing is also set in the Leipzig and within European Commodity Clearing infrastructure. And having this in mind, of course, even in this isolated mode, currently we have really reliable market and really reliable price signal. And just for your information, so starting from the beginning of year, average yearly price until today on SEPEX are almost the same like HUPEX and HROPEX price, very similar to OPCOM price, and of course IBEX has some lower price. But it shows, of course, that even in this unfortunately, even in this isolated mode, because we are still not, part of the MRC integrated internal EU day-ahead market due to these legal obstacles, that we are currently established very, very liquid day-ahead market. And this is also very important to mention that we are in the final stage of adopting the new CACM bylaw. So in fact, having in mind that CACM guidance is not yet transposed on the regional level in the WB6 countries, so we have decided, first of all, to include the main features of the CACM guidelines in the new amended energy law. And now we are finalizing a new CACM guidelines bylaw, which will, I hope, provide really proper ground restart our already started the market coupling project. So especially, how you say, with our Bulgarian and Croatian neighbors, and of course also to continue our project with former 4MNC. But now I think having in mind that all our neighbors are currently part of the MRC integrated market, so I hope that it will be possible to have this big bang. In fact, that European Commission will support our market coupling at the same moment with all neighboring EU power exchanges. Beside this market coupling, how I say, business integration, I think also that we as a power exchanges have to think, and we have to start to discuss also about some kind of, how we say, corporate integration, more close corporate cooperation in order to reply on all of these new challenges. And we know that, of course, that this competition memo framework is coming also. Sooner or later it will come in our region. So we have to this is all small power exchanges, but we have to be able also to respond also on these new challenges which will come from this, how I say, NEMO competition framework. So more or less, so this is all, how I say, all news from our region. So as I mentioned, I hope that on our next conference that we will be able also maybe to provide you with the new information about maybe some new kickoff or restart of the market coupling project. As Konstantin showed you, we are still in the gray zone, but you all know that in fact from the technical business point of view, we are ready, how I say, even a few years ago, we are ready to join to the pan-European MRC coupled market. But I hope with this new amending legal and regulatory framework, I hope that finally European Commission will officially support, how you say, our vision, our efforts to couple. And I'm sure that our colleagues from the neighboring power exchanges and TSOs will also, how you say, support our efforts. And I'm really optimistic, and I hope that maybe not next year, but maybe after 2 or 3 years, that we will not have this gray spot in the middle of the Balkan, that we will be able also to provide all customers with the coupled market, and of course with more robust and more reliable price signals. So thank you once again, and how I say, I hope that this new situation with the pricing, of course, it will last at least until the next spring, but I hope that maybe during the next spring or next summer that we will have more how I say, affordable situation for our customers. But how I say, as according to the current last future signal, in fact, for the next year, so it seems that average price will not go below 100 euro. But of course, this new reality, we have to be, how I say, stick with this new reality, and maybe to provide some new products to the market which will help both, how I say, the customers and also suppliers to more fit with these new circumstances. Thank you all.
Mr. Mladenovic, thank you very much for all the updated news in Serbia and in the area. Okay, to tell you the truth, on a daily basis, I follow the CPEX Serbian market because it's the first market, 11:30 in the morning, that publish the results. So on a daily basis, we are waiting the Serbian results in order to see the trend in the area.
Yeah. This is something is good if you are not coupled, because now we have, in fact, of course, some part of our liquidity is related to this arbitrage between the CPEX market and all other markets, of course. But with the coupling, we will have some other benefits. How I say, but we are very seriously thinking, even in the coupling mode, maybe to keep this, how I say, early day ahead gate closure in the 10:30. But we will see,
Okay. So thank you very much all. Unfortunately, I think that we don't have time to proceed with questions because we have already been late. The next session should start much earlier. So thank you very much, Mr. Toukoglou, okay, Mr. Konstantinov, Ms. Liakopoulou, okay, and Ms. Mladenovic. So thank you very much for everything.
Okay. Thank you all. Bye-bye.